The victims of the Campus Trends tragedy remembered, and in sports, St. Catherine's takes the Sep04 Super Cup.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
A very good evening to you. I'm Sophia Cambridge with this Sunday, September 4th edition of the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, a 27-year-old man has died as a result of an accident along Glebe Road in St. George. It occurred around 10 minutes past 4 this morning. The victim has been identified as Adriel Hoyt of Mount Friendship in St. Michael. Hoyt was riding a bicycle when he was involved in the accident with two cars. 20-year-old Tristan Aline of Society Hill in St. John was the driver of one of the cars, while the other was driven by 19-year-old Kamal Quimby of Glebeland in St. George. Neither of the drivers was injured. The head of the September 3rd Foundation, David Comijong, wants the Campus Trends tragedy to be a national wake-up call for Barbados. He made the comments on the first anniversary of the incident, which claimed the lives of 6 young women last September 3rd, following a robbery and subsequent fire at the clothing store in Tudor Street. Yesterday, dozens marched from that store in the city to the Queen's Park steel shed in memory of those who perished. Mr. Comijong says right-thinking Barbadians need to bond together to try to stem the incidents of violent crime across the landscape.
If the simultaneous homicides of 6 young, blameless, innocent Barbadian young women does not impact this society and cause us to really wake up and bestir ourselves to do something about the obvious social, cultural, psychological decay that is now manifesting itself in terrible violent crimes in our society. If this tragedy does not do that, then nothing else will.
Mr. Comijong adds Barbados has for some time been witnessing a number of brutal crimes where the perpetrators show absolutely no regard for life.
That were so cruelly truncated before they could fully blossom and delivering to this society that we, the living, that we do good and constructive works in their names and in their memory. And in that way, we honor them.
Churches across the island must come together to send the correct messages to members of society. That was highlighted during the church service reflecting on the lives of the 6 young women who lost their lives on September 3rd last year as a result of that Campus Trends fire. Monsignor Harcourt Blackett says churches must set the right kind of example for the community to ensure it functions in harmony. He believes this can only be achieved if Christians, who are the servants of society, put aside their differences.
There must be unity amongst churches. We cannot go on and on with the division that we are experiencing in church life. For if there's division in the church, the very church of God, what do we expect of the society? And how can we speak to the society with any voice of credibility? And so our biggest challenge is how do we overcome the differences that exist among Christians.
And Monsignor Vincent also says citizens must play their role by settling disputes without unnecessary acts of violence.
If your brother has something against you, go to him, speak with him, have it out with him, so that you may win him back, bring him back into the community. Because the community is meant to be a community of inclusivity. That is where all are included and none is excluded.
An Anglican cleric believes that social networking groups can be a positive factor in community building. Rector of the St. David's Anglican Church, Canon Noel Burke, made the suggestion during a service launching the Bayland Bridges, which is a social networking group. He's told the congregation at the St. Paul's Anglican Church that some social networking groups have promoted negativity, but they can be used to promote good. According to Canon Burke, the Bayland Bridges group, which is on Facebook, is expanding rapidly.
For quick source, there are about 393 members of this group on the internet across the world. And so we are thankful for an opportunity whereby persons can come together and remember the past. For the only way in which we will be able to press on is if we are able to hear from some of and give examples to our young people, is if we are able to capture so much of what has made us to be the people that we are today. The people that have made our nation the great nation that it is.
A leading trade unionist has identified a major challenge facing employees participating in local businesses. Deputy General Secretary of the Barbados Workers' Union, Robert Bobby Morris, says because of the way the private sector is currently set up, it's difficult for workers to buy into these businesses. According to him, most of these companies started as family-owned businesses and they've remained private.
We have to get them to go on the stock exchange, man. And I will be very careful. Listen to me carefully. Money and put it as equity in any company unless I am absolutely sure that that money will be safe and secure down the road. It's very serious, boy. I could take it and put it somewhere else. But if I ever put in the company and I have people who at the management level and the ownership level don't show their care and interest, not me. So that's the fundamental thing I would say to you.
Mr. Morris has suggested an alternative.
I would start a co-op, your question, and build it from the workers, not take the workers' money and put it in a private sector company started by something with their own motive. That's the risk I'm taking.
There's a new online program which allows Caribbean students to learn at their own pace while acquiring more knowledge outside of the classroom. It's the Caribbean Academic Online Program, which targets students studying toward the 11+ and CXC exams. The program's launch took place at the Pomerine Hotel. In attendance was Education Minister Ronald Jones, along with several principals of primary and secondary schools across the island. Minister Jones advised teachers to throw their support behind the initiative because it lifts the burden of trying to teach every section of a subject in a 45-minute lesson.
We have to rely on the encouragement first of your teachers, your family, but more specifically on the strength of the individual learner to seek to extract or to attract other material to help buttress what has been provided at the level of the classroom, at the level of the teacher.
And Mr. Jones added that the program allows students to learn at their own pace while acquiring information which has not been covered in the classroom.
This gives students the ability to pace themselves now. So you will go before the class, the teacher is pressured to deliver particular syllabus, part of the curriculum, and therefore the timing and the patience that you have to pay or that you should pay to individual learners in each classroom really is not there. That's a fact, that's a truth. But it sets a good base, a good foundation for added learning.
In Guyana, Bharat Jagdeo has described as a double standard the position taken by some developed countries, including the United States and Britain, regarding the civil unrest in Libya and Syria. President Jagdeo, speaking to a large gathering of Muslims during the Eid celebrations, said Guyana will not subscribe to this double standard by those countries that seek direct benefits out of what is happening in countries such as Libya and Syria. He's maintained that Guyana will not depart from the values that it has stood for in regard to humanity. The Guyanese head of state also chided countries that seem, in his view, not to care much about the killing of innocent people and only condemns such acts when it affects them directly, an act he's described as a protection of interest.